Hey guys, what's up? So let's go right to the point. What the hell happened to the Predator face on Prey? Why? Why would anyone think that it would be a good idea to have a Predator look like that? I really don't get it. As a Predator fan, I really don't get it. I'm sure I'm not the only one that when the Feral Predator lost his mask in the movie, I was like, what the fuck have they done? The unmasking of the Predator used to be such a cool moment for me in the movies, and when we saw on Prey, this deformed, malformed, broken, inbred looking part excuse of a Predator face design, it's not like I was expecting them to actually make a Predator with the mandibles right. We haven't had a proper Predator face in a movie ever since Predator 2 from 1990. Mainly the problems with the mandible thing. This degeneration of the Predator face design is something that has been going on for like the past 20 years by now. Great. Seriously, they just don't know how to make the Predator mandible structure as it should look like. Without Stan Winston, these people just can't make it this right. The Predator mandibles are supposed to be covering their mouth. You know, they're like inner mandibles, the outer mandibles covered their inner mandibles, whatever. They're like the Predator mouth, which should only be seen with the open mandibles, like their mandibles close the mouth. Then when they roar, that's when you can see their mouth. Like there's this movement, this of the mandibles that they close and open, you know. But ever since AVP 2004, the mandibles, they just hang on the sides, you know. It's like they are constantly open or like broken. They don't make the movement of closing and opening, you know, in the same way that like you have like with Jungle Hunter and City Hunter from the two original movies. I'll show in this video as much comparisons as I can between the old and new Predator face designs. This is something that many Predator fans have complained about over the years. Here we have a picture done by Voodoo Magic, former member of AVP Galaxy, and he criticized that a lot, and even asked the members of the site when they had a chance to interview those responsible for this change into design about the subject. When asked about why those Predators look like that, ADI, aka Amalgamated Dynamics, the American special effects company responsible for the Predator designs in AVP, AVPR, the Predator and Prey, when they were asked about it, why does the face of the Predators that you guys made look like that, they were just like, oh, why can't they just be like that? Because that's not how our Predator is supposed to look like, damn it. They're like, oh, it's just a different design. Why can't some Predators have mandibles like that? That is like a different Predator face, subspecies, clan, whatever. That seems to be always the excuse for this. If your Predator looks like shit, you just say that, oh, it's a subspecies. That's the excuse. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's just because those people, they just can't make the Predator design right. It's their decision because they're not good enough. They're not as good as Stan Winston. That's the reality. And I get that some Predators can look different from each other. We already saw examples of different Predator designs for the Predators at the end of Predator 2. They all have different coloring, but they still have the same bone structure and the proportion on their skulls, same as humans. You know, in the same way that there are different types of humans, but still, every human, they usually, the mouth opens and closes the same way, unless they have like a deformation or whatever. So the same should apply for the Predators. Like, they are, just because you are from a different species, race, you shouldn't have like a different bone structure. It's still like there are still things that should work in the same way, you know. I think it's just that anyone that came after Stan Winston doesn't know how to make the Predator face right. In Predators, it was another company that I don't remember the name right now, but if you compare the Crucified Predator, which is supposed to be a copy and paste of the original Predator design, it's supposed to look exactly like a Jungle Hunter, but if you just compare the faces, just compare the mandibles, they don't look the same, and it's weird for me because I haven't seen people bring that up much, you know. I know that the body and the armor looks the same, but the face clearly does not. And people say, oh, Jungle Hunter was back in 2010, I mean, the design, oh, it's the original design. No, it's not. Just look at the face, compare the faces. The mandibles don't close the same way. I mean, he might have the same body, but the face clearly does not look the same. Mr. Black in the movie had the excuse of actually being from a different race, and I mean, it's something that even brought up within the plot of the movie. And that does explain some of the different features on the face, like the coloring, the different shaped forehead. But still, those oversized mandibles, they couldn't even fit within its own biomass. It was a little too over the top. It didn't have to be that oversized. I guess it's easier to just throw some mandibles on the Predator face that don't even function properly. It's just lazy work. The design of the Predator just became very lazy and more into the role of a very generic creature, which is what we got in Prey. It wasn't just the mandibles. I mean, the eyes were too far from each other. The forehead also doesn't look good. It just looks weird. I hate the feral face. All the proportions on the face look like shit. It looks too much like a generic monster. Not even close to the same level of realism that the original Predator had as Advanced Alien Hunter. I mean, it look fake. That's the weird thing. I mean, the first movie was from 1987, and the Predator there looked more realistic than the Predators now. It was like, it looked so much better, and it's a shame because I barely recognized the original creature, which was the reason I became a fan of this franchise here. It's not even something exclusive to the Predator creature, but also for the aliens. They started with a biomechanical bipedal unique look to it in the first movies, and eventually in the later movies they were turned into a very flashy generic looking animal creature, also by ADI Studios. Those guys, they just ruined everything that Stan Wilson and Giga created. It was just another degeneration of the original design. They took everything that made the Predator and aliens look unique and interesting, and they just corrupted it, just fucked up the designs completely. They are the problem. They are the reason why the design quality got worse. Maybe they were just cheaper to hire than Stan Wilson at the time. So Fox just decided, oh, let's hire the cheapest special effects company, and they can just make whatever, make the creatures look like shit, you know. Why hire Stan Winston and make the creatures look good as they did in the original movies, if that's gonna cost us more? I mean, I think that's the Fox mindset, and that does come sometimes with a heavy price. If I was gonna compare the fucked up Predators, I would say that in Predators, the third movie, they look at the least bad. But then again, it wasn't AD either. Pharaoh had the worst face, but Scar is right behind him, especially with those human eyes. They're trying to make him look like a good Predator, good guy, because of the cursed human Predator thing up in the movie. In AVPR, I know people love Wolf. With the mask, his design is up there for me in the list. He looks great, right up there with Jungle Hunter. But when the mask comes off, the mandibles are not only oversized, but they don't really close properly. They have a very similar structure to what Scar had, but it's a little better. It's a little better for sure, because Scar mandibles just look too thin. It just look way too fake. I mean, Wolf does look a little better, but still, like, it's not as good as in the original Predators, like Jungle Hunter and City Hunter. On the Predators, same things. It's better than AVP, but the mandibles are still not good enough. My problems with the 2018 Predator movie is actually more related to the plot, acting, and the stupid upgrade Predator. Like the whole thing about the whole concept and design of the upgrade is so bad for me that I don't really. The mandibles are like the least of its issues. I mean, I would prefer. I really don't care that much about the mandibles. It's just like the upgrade Predator has so much things that I hate. The like chicken legs, the whole oversized, how tall he is, like the whole thing about him using modifying his DNA for whatever, like the whole concept of the upgrade, the design itself, the weapons, everything. I just hate it so much. Like the mandibles in this case are the least of the issues with this, but it's still the mandibles and the face design for both the upgrade and the fugitive was still not on point. But the fugitive was not that bad. It was a mostly okay design. In Prey, the face was excessively bad. I was already not a big fan of the whole primitive look that the Pharaoh had. I wouldn't say that I hate the Pharaoh design with the mask on, but it was a little too weird for me. It was a little too far away from the look that I became a fan of, and that stupid face just ruined everything. Interesting enough, in many games they managed to get it right. In AVP2, they managed to get the mandibles right, even with the limitations of the time from being a game from 2001. The Predators have also nice details on their designs, and the mandibles look decent. Even on the weird Predator design that they decide to go in that movie, the mandibles were closing properly as they should, as in a Predator. In Predator Conquer Jungle, the game from 2005, the designs just looked great. Even when you play with the AVP costume, which is supposed to be Scar, the mandibles looked fixed. It looked better than the actual movie, since in all the costumes they just followed upon the original design for the Predator. Scarface, the main Predator character from the game, might look like the AVP Prez due to his armor and being bulkier, but if you just look at his face in game, in the missions that he has the mask off, it's completely out of the original Jungle Hunter design. They just followed very well. The mandibles look the same, the structure is all the same. Only for some reason in the two cutscenes that we have in this game that happen in the first and the second mission, for some reason in the cutscenes, the CGI cutscenes, the Predator face doesn't look as good as in the actual in-game gameplay for some reason. I don't know why, but well, I think that in-game they just looked great. They did a great job overall in this game. On AVP 2010 was when some things is starting to go a little bad. The mandibles didn't look as bad as in the movies, but it reminded me of it right away. Like when Dark take off the mask and you can see the mandibles, it did remind me a little bit of Scar. Not as bad because it's not as thin, but the mandibles are still like on the sides, they're not closing properly, you know. In this game did take a lot from the AVP movies. It's pretty much like a sequel. It's like AVP 3 as a sequel to the movies in a form of a game. On AVP Evolution, they look okay overall. I mean, we don't get to see them much. We only get to see the Predator you play has unmasked right at the I think at the first mission only. After you get the mask, you cannot see like the other skins because you can play as Wolf, Mr. Black, Celtic, whatever. But you don't get to see the unmasked because after you get the mask, you cannot like unmask yourself. But it seems like mostly okay. On Predator Hunting Grounds, I think that all the faces apart from Mr. Black and Falconer, which look actually even worse than in the movie that they were in, by the way, they're okay. Most classes have the same standard male and female Predator faces, and I think it's overall the Mandibles are mostly okay. I would say that the female Predator faces close a little better the Mandibles than the male ones. Some of the male ones seems to have like a they're not closing 100%, you know, they're but they still look decent enough. While some classes like Jungle, City Hunter, and Elder and others have their own unique faces, but I think that overall there is a consistency on how the Mandible structure is, which is overall decent and accurate to the original movies. On the comics, there are good and bad designs. I didn't go to check them out, too lazy for that right now, as there are just way too many Predator comics, and I don't tend to take them as much seriously as the movies and even the games. My standards for the comics tend to be much lower. I really don't expect that much from the comics, like it's not something that I really take that much seriously. Well, this was my little rant in regards to the deterioration of the Predator face. Bye bye.